Well, we're back. The Cocos are really happy to see us. That's going to be a common sight because what I did while I was recording this thing was I just recorded in half-hour chunks, you know? Saves me editing time. So I would always stop and look around to frame the end of the part, and the Cocos would always pop out to say hi.
Yeah, the Cocos popping up are indicative of the number you have on your person at the moment until you hand them into the Elder Coco.
Up to a certain amount, because they can only show so many Cocos.
Imagine you farm like 5,000 and you just swarms the fucking field with Coco.
You say that as a joke, but the Cocos are actually completely unlimited.
I was gonna ask, is there like a set number of them?
No, because I have a follower, a friend on Twitch, Celeste, if you're listening, hi. She grinded Cocos just to see what the cap was, and I think it was 600,000 something.
Sounds about right.
I might be underselling that.
The thing is, after you get all of the upgrades to speed and rings, the Elder Coco is just like, yeah, can you just bring any other Cocos you find to me, and all you ever get is a thank you. Literally all you ever get is a thank you after that.
Have a nice vacation.
But you can totally keep rescuing random Cocos. It's something that you can do. It's about the only thing that you can do at this point in the game, although thankfully they seem to be planning to add more stuff to do to the game. That was a pleasant surprise.
More playable characters.
I mean, that's something I was surprised wasn't in the game to begin with, especially considering that the main cast is so small. It's like none of the extraneous friends are here except for Big for some reason.
Yeah, it's the main Genesis cast plus Sage, and that's literally all the characters we have here. What the
nice clip.
What the hell?
I'm glad some things never change.
Yeah, I mean, that's one thing I am really interested in because, again, like, bringing back multiple playable characters. I know that it was such a sin back in like the mid 2000s, but you might not have noticed we're in the 2020s now. It's been 20 years since we've had
Sonic Adventure came out yesterday, man.
So it's about time that we try to, like do that. It's okay. You can try something instead of just it's okay. You clip through there to help yourself, so now it clipped itself through you so that you fell to the ground. It's fine.
So you could play this game, bitch.
And now it's clipping through the ground.
Its hand is clearly going through the hill.
The Asura Titan is one of the most awkward of the mini-bosses to fight because the way you get up it gets like increasingly harder to manage as you damage it. But the thing also automatically sends you into an uncontrollable, like, not quite damage, but the same sort of fall recovery animation whenever you kill one of its arms, right?
Yeah. There are multiple ways of climbing this
There are multiple ways of climbing it, and there's also a way to cheese it so that you don't get hit by that automatic falling animation. So if you're speedrunning the game, you're going to want to figure out how to do that.
Oh, so you can climb it the hard way, like a Shadow of the Colossus. Okay.
Yeah, that's a mechanic that they use for the first boss as well. But, like, the thing about it is, it's designed to force you off every time you kill one of the arms so that you can, go up through the more challenging arm climbing sequence. But if you're gonna play this game with any intent to master its systems, the first thing you want to master on Island 1 is how to climb the fucking Asura Titans without triggering that forced knockdown.
Well, another thing that also helps is what Ryan alluded to earlier is that when you paraloop its legs, you get a portal gear from that.
Yeah.
And while you do that, it's also momentarily stunned. So while you can do that, you can use that time to manually climb up the hard way and, keep going where you're going, not have to wait for the arm to slam down.
Yep. But the thing is, once you start trying to experiment with that automatic knockdown, you realize how forced it is on the player, because the knockdown isn't tied to you getting hit by anything. It's just a scripted event that happens when the thing's leg breaks. So in order to avoid that knockdown, you actually have to figure out a way to like force Sonic to not be available to that scripted event when it happens. So it's a really
I have
awkward.
I have managed to air boost my way back to the second segment after getting knocked up into the air. I think it might have something to do with your ring speed.
It might. I'm not really sure.
Yeah, because I've had times where I've managed to stay on the thing after air boosting.
The thing is, like, that's literally how it happens. The thing's arm breaks, and then Sonic gets forced into a falling animation.
It's like, get the fuck out of here.
Like, no matter how far away he is from everything, it just happens, and you have to figure out a way to stop it from happening. It's not impossible. It's just stupid and like mechanically gamey. Also, high Sonic generations.
I recognize this opening section.
Hey, this is Chemical Plant.
This is one of the places where you can really feel how much slower the boost is, though, because when you boosted through that alternate pathway in Sonic Generations, you went super fast. And here it's just like, we're gonna jog. We're gonna jog down the alternate path in Chemical Plant.
Why the rush?
The one and only thing I can give this level over the Generations iteration is the camera doesn't fucking break during the ending if you take the upper path. They still haven't fixed that. This right here, this is the place where it happens, you know? This whole section can be stuck in isometric if you take the upper path, because for some baffling reason, they never programmed the upper path to lock you into the correct camera position. So it just sort of gets stuck in an isometric perspective that does your control absolutely no favors. Yeah. It's time to go back and collect those red rings. Because counterintuitively, the red rings in this level, I think this is one of the levels where the red rings are, like, not on the shortcut paths. So you actually have to go for those separately.
So, in terms of this game's structure, I've never really considered most open world games to be collect-a-thon-y before. Like, I mean, I guess by some definition, a game like Breath of the Wild is kind of a collect-a-thon, but it doesn't really feel like it when you're playing the game. How much does this feel like it? Because, to me, at least just watching it, it looks kind of like you have to collect these gears so that you can open these levels, so that you can collect these rings, so that you can collect these, like it's Banjo-Kazooie on steroids.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. Fundamentally, this game shares more in common with the structure of a Banjo game than it does with Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, but like even in Banjo, you don't generally need collectibles for collectibles. I guess aside from Jinjos, like Jinjos are just like halves of Jiggies, but you know.
Collectibles for other collectibles is more of a Donkey Kong thing, isn't it?
A little bit, yeah.
64.
I mean, that's still the same developer, so we can call it part of the same playbook. But like in an open world game like Breath of the Wild, the collectibles are more just a method of giving the game a non-linear form of progression, so that you can go in any direction and tackle things in any order you want, while still making sure that everything serves the final goal of defeating Ganon, you know? It's like, no matter where you're going, you're freeing one of the divine beasts, or you're getting a bunch of shrines. You're making yourself more powerful for the big showdown, basically. And that's Breath of the Wild in a nutshell. But here, which in this sort of segmented, sort of open zone gameplay, it's more like Dragon Age Inquisition, where each area is its own stage, and you're tackling the completion of each stage one at a time for the most part, or you're leaving it for later and then coming back, and it's not really, the completion element is not integrated into the main goal at all. When you're running around to complete a level, you're collecting map spaces specifically to fill the map with no other reason for doing so. You're getting keys just to fill out the mission completion for cyberspace, because you got enough keys to get all the Chaos Emeralds ages ago, and you're just letting them sit in their containers until you're ready for them.
Yeah, you know, Tails is trapped as a ghost phantom thing but he'll be fine.
You're going after the optional side story cutscenes because the map has icons and you want those icons to fucking go away. That's this kind of open zone gameplay in a nutshell. It's very Ubisoft in a way that Breath of the Wild isn't necessarily.
What matters most importantly is collecting Chaos Emeralds. How you get those Chaos Emeralds is up to you.
Yeah.
Okay, so you don't necessarily have to get the gears to get the keys to play the thing to get the Chaos Emeralds. You can do that other ways. Okay.
No. There are multiple ways to get Vault Keys.
You can, if you want, just run in circles for 3 hours, and random collectibles will spawn from your
We should also, this is something I actually wanted to mention, I think, in part 1 or part 2, when Lewis momentarily retreated from the Osro because he was at 0 rings, and he didn't side loop the floor just to get rings. You can just side loop wherever you want, whenever, to get rings. It is next to impossible for Sonic to die.
But there was a rail right next to me with rings and a memory token on it.
But you're literally on the ground.
Well, yeah, but there was a rail next to me with rings and a memory token on it. So of course I went for the rings and the memory token. I mean, I could.
The first thing, I guarantee you, the first thing you will see any player on a repeat playthrough do when the moment they get Sonic in control is that they will side loop the ground until they hit the ring cap so that they get the double boost speed and then proceed on their merry way.
I do that sometimes, especially later in the game when I start to get impatient, but honestly, running in circles for that long is boring.
It takes less than half a minute though. And another thing you can do,
less than half a minute to get to spawn all the keys you need to beat a.
No, less than half a minute to get to the ring cap.
To get to the ring cap when you're at 400 rings. But like I said, I'm raising my ring count to like 500.
Oh no! 600. Oh.
I'm raising my ring cap to 500, 600 so that I'm not like constantly out of rings during battle. So yeah, for me it starts to get to a point where the ring cap is a little bit out of reach, and I feel more confident just doing one side loop to get some rings in me and then not bothering to max myself out.
What, they didn't put anything up there? Lame.
It's kind of crazy the shit that they just let you do with seemingly no penalty for it. Like, side loop on the ground infinitely for rings is one thing. You can also make a figure 8 with the side loop, and you just have infinite boosts for an indistinguishable period of time. I honest to God don't know how long it lasts.
It lasts like maybe 2 minutes, maybe 1 minute. I'm not sure. It does wear off eventually.
It does wear off, but I swear to Christ, it lasts forever.
But then you can just do it again, though, right? Even if it does.
Yeah, you can just do it again.
The reason they do that is because there are some places in the game where pausing to let your Breath of the Wild stamina meter recharge is frickin' annoying more than it's
squid.
I mean, it's not like boosting is a thing that having limits prevents you from doing things. It's just kind of like it's just kind of a thing that they have because they don't want boosting to be infinite, but then they realized they designed sequences where it really would be good if boosting were infinite, so they gave you the ability to turn on infinite boost with just a little bit of prep time, And there are situations, of course, where you can't do that if you haven't done it beforehand, right? Because there are certain boss fights and stuff where you just can't stop and side loop. But for most situations, there's nothing in this game that really benefits from boosting being limited. So even though boosting is technically limited by a stamina bar, they only limited it by a stamina bar, and they gave you a method to take that stamina bar away in situations specifically where it would be more annoying than enriching.
Outside of you just not liking to stop to do a figure 8 for a moment, you should always be in infinite
there's
boost
also
mode.
The point that they don't tell you about the infinite boost. So it's sort of secret tech.
Yeah, I think it might be a secret tech because I don't recall any of the tips telling you about it.
It's like DTE, Devil Trigger Explosion, in Devil May Cry 3, where you just hold the Devil Trigger button to charge up your DT and do a screen wipe explosion. The game doesn't tell you about that at all. You're supposed to figure that shit out on your own or learn it from someone else who played the game. Nowadays, everyone knows about it, but it was hidden tech for people who experimented with the game. It's like at some point you were supposed to realize by experimenting with the controls that you don't enter Devil Trigger until you let go of the button. So then you start holding the button to see what happens. And, oh, your Devil Trigger meter goes red. And it's like, oh, what does this do? And then it explodes and kills all the low health demons around you. And it's like, oh, that's neat. The figure 8 is something that you're going to trigger by accident. Because you did a really sloppy fucking side loop, and the game accidentally registered it as a figure 8, even though it doesn't resemble a figure 8 at all.
The game took pity on my sloppy.
The game is really generous about what it registers as a figure 8. So I learned about the infinite side loop completely by fucking accident, because I tried to side loop around a group of enemies, didn't quite complete a circle the way I should have, and I looped around the rest of the enemies to include them in the circle before releasing it. And then I realized 30 seconds later, wait, my boost meter is infinite. What? How did that happen? And I'm like,
I was just boosting, noticing that my boost was infinite. Like, that's nice. I didn't really think about it. Just kept going.
I didn't pick anything up. Did one of those enemies do a weird drop? And then that happened a few more times throughout my playthrough, and I realized, oh, it's a side loop thing.
How are you able to return from
Why is she just like letting us talk to her?
Well, she doesn't actually feel any hostility towards Sonic. She's kind of just getting in his way because she thinks him being an unstable element on the island would put Eggman in danger.
Well, she considers him an enemy, like she just said.
Well, she categorizes him as an enemy because she knows he's Dr. Eggman's enemy, but she herself feels no hostility toward him.
Well, okay, so, but at this point we don't know that she's Dr. Eggman's whatever she is.
No, I think it's pretty obvious at this point.
You kind of see cutscenes pretty early on that give that away, and if you read the little prequel comic thing, you probably have an inkling about it, but the thing about Sage is that the only thing she really cares about is protecting Dr. Eggman, because that's her main function. And, you know, she kind of develops feelings for Eggman as a paternal figure around that. But, like, the only reason she doesn't trust Sonic is because she doesn't trust Sonic. There's no animosity there. She's just kind of, like, doing what she does. And Sonic can sort of recognize this because he doesn't pick up any like, negative feelings from her, and he's constantly willing to sort of hear her out and try to talk to her. It's actually interesting because it's like the one time in the series where we get to see that Sonic is actually a pretty insightful guy when he puts his mind to it. He realizes that Sage doesn't actually harbor him any ill will because she's not behaving like she does.
She's not laughing maniacally.
She threw a robot at us, so, you know.
She awoken a robot. That's about. I mean, to go into a bit of a spoiler territory, she can't control the robots.
Yeah, she just kind of eggs it on in a way.
Yeah, she can. Yeah, kind of like a rabid dog. She could sick the Titans on Sonic, but she herself cannot control the robots directly.
Yeah, and Sonic is able to pick up on her lack of actual animosity and keeps trying to get through to her, and eventually he kind of does. But it's kind of an interesting interaction, really. It's like the one aspect of the story where Sonic's character is actually, like, really interesting to think about because, like, even Knuckles is just kind of like, whoa, she attacked you. I'm going to punch her in the face.
Wait, do they really only increase your rings by, like... 8?
Yes, they do.
And you have to do this
I'm glad you were
every
able to
time?
see the immediate problem that everybody fucking hates about leveling the rings and the defense specific. Oh, no, it was like the rings and the speed.
The other ones, they just, like, bumped you up straight to, like, level 18.
Yeah. Which makes it really stupid.
The thing is, you use the same collectible for both rings and speed, so you need to individually choose which levels you pick. And they do this stupid animation each time. One of the first mods people made for this game was to cut this animation out of the process. It makes it so much faster.
Like, but you don't even need to do it individually. You could be like set a menu at just like how many boosts, and you could do like 4.
like it should have been a slider.
That would be nice, yes. The real problem is how many levels there are and how many Coco it takes. There are, I think it's like 12 Coco per upgrade. So, Yeah, 12 Coco per upgrade for 99 levels in 2 stats. Do you have any fucking idea how long it takes to do that all at once?
Not all at once, no.
3 hours later.
I did. Okay, by Island 5, I think I was a third of the way up to level 99 in one of the stats and had barely.
You forgot this was the leaf puzzle.
Yeah, I did. This is only my second time playing the game. I don't have it like memorized. I beat the game once and then I recorded it immediately afterward, and I'm like, wait, what does this do? I don't remember.
Squid.
But then I saw another map challenge in the distance, and I'm like, you know.
It's like Squid at this point is just like that lone guy in the Yakuza on The Simpsons. It's like, you know he's gonna do something. You know it's gonna be good.
Don't worry, I'll fight him eventually. The one mini boss that I don't actually fight, and this was completely by accident because I just happened not to run into it, but I never fight the sumo boss. The one that spawns.
On the island too.
The one that spawns a bouncy arena around you, and you have to bounce. It's actually one of the more fun bosses to fight, but I just never actually ran into the goddamn thing.
How many times did you fight Shark? And please just say once.
3 times.
Oh no!
I'm sorry. It just happened. You never know where that thing is until it dogpiles you. You know, it's one of the most annoying bosses in the game because of how long it takes to fight. But it's also one of the most annoying bosses in the game because. And then I saw the pile of leaves and I was like, oh. It's also one of the most annoying bosses in the game because you never know where it is until you encounter it.
Oh, it's like that guy in Final Fantasy VI where you just hold the thing slightly to the right so that you eventually visit every square.
Doom gaze. Yeah, Doom gaze.
There we go.
Wait, so you do half the map and then they just fill in the other half for you?
No, the upper half is quote unquote Island 5.
The upper half is the boss arena.
Oh, okay.
The rest, Island 5 is like way in the distance. Like I think you can see it, but I don't know why the squid jump scare keeps not triggering for me.
All right, so I have another question. So I noticed that finding the glowy blue Doritos fills up the bar on the bottom. What is like
That's experience.
Experience? Oh, you level up, and then that gives you skill points. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
It's kind of got a God of War red orb meter thing going on where when it fills up, you get 1 skill point.
Here comes the boy.
Okay, so Big's fishing. It's always in these purple portals, which means you can fast travel to it once you finish the map too. So it's actually like really easy to grind once you get map completion on any island.
And these don't cost any portal gears to enter either.
The only limitation is that until you reach Island 5, you can only buy so many Cocos. Other than that, the world's your oyster. Grind for as long as you fucking want.
He sounds like a stoner in this game.
I mean, he is a stoner, to be fair.
I mean, yeah, but he never sounded like a stoner. He always sounded like, he was a caricature of somebody with some sort of, like, somebody on the spectrum.
Well, look, he's just kind of some guy doing an imitation of Duke Nukem's Big the Cat voice, so...
It's Kyle Laybear. I do like the attention to detail. He has the maxed out fishing rod from Adventure 1.
Oh, yeah, he does.
Oh, yeah, you're right about that. He doesn't have the floaty, though. I mean, he doesn't need it, but still.
So, he's just in cyberspace fishing, and they don't explain why.
Big the Cat is here because he was looking for places to fish. He found a place to fish, so now he's fishing.
But where's Froggy?
He's doing taxes back home.
Sonic's just like, of course he is. Okay, so... They didn't release the Monster Hunter DLC until I was on Island 5 in this recording, because I recorded this right after the game came out. So, we're not going to see the cooking minigame until later in the playthrough. But we will see it. The thing about the cooking minigame is, as I said earlier, it costs nothing. So now you can grind for collectibles without spending any purple coins at all.
They really don't want you to play the game. Like... You're sending me mixed signals here.
So you just fish, and then you can trade the fish for the shit you need to beat the game.
Yeah, you can buy everything. in this shop in Big Fishing Store.
The only limiting factor is that early on in the game, on the earlier islands, it costs less to fish, but you also earn less rewards for fishing, so it would actually take a prohibitively long time to grind for everything on Island 1.
To a point, because there are things that you can catch here that will still just give you a shitload of tokens. It's pretty much a luck of the draw. Like, there's no skill.
Well, I mean, yeah, but like literally the cost and the rewards for every for fishing multiplies every time you get to a new island. So here it's 1 token to fish, 6 tokens for this size fish. But if you were to catch the same fish on Island 2, it would be 2 tokens to fish, 12 tokens for catching that fish.
Gotcha.
Oh, and then you can use the tokens to keep fishing.
By the time you get to Island 4, though, the rewards and costs have multiplied to a point where it takes fucking no time at all to get whatever you need. Also, there are these gold cards, but pro tip, the most expensive thing in this shop is actually the egg memos right now. So use all the gold tickets on the egg memos.
And is like catching the fish ever hard? Because this looks like a pretty easy fishing minigame.
No, this is it. This is as hard as it gets.
The only thing that increases the difficulty is the amount of rings you have to overlap, but even then it never caps after 3.
So this took a while, and it's always gonna take a while.
So.
But I'm not fucking recording this shit because, like,
I mean, you did, but you just fast forwarding through it.
Okay, your main goal when you do the fishing is to get the 2 scrolls, because the 2 scrolls let you fast travel to the Elder Coco and the Hermit Coco, which gives you a lot of fucking fast travel points around the island, even before you've completed the map. As long as the icon is visible on the map, you can fast travel to it.
The water thing is with the hole is like kind of wigging out as well.
No, it's supposed to get to cyberspace.
Oh, okay.
No. I think we're talking about like the little like
After imagey looking effect.
the after image of the thing around the rod. Yeah, it does that around. I think Sonic's Quills too around the lake specifically. It might be a shader.
It's kind of a basic lighting shader glitch that other games have too, but I'm a little surprised to see it in a Sega released Sonic game. But oh well. Anyway, you might notice I fished until I had absolutely no coins left. That means I can get a lot of shit. I'm just gonna buy egg memos until I don't have gold coins left, and then I'm gonna just...
Oh, you're right. You do buy... Big, where did you get these?
So yeah, sold out means you can't carry anymore for this island in particular.
Well, you literally got the max for the island.
So he can't. He has every memory token he needs to finish the island. He has every vault key he needs. He has every portal gear he needs.
The unfortunate thing is that I think they'll max out. I think they'll say red seeds and blue seeds are maxed out. Maybe. I'm not sure. But they definitely won't say that Cocos are maxed out after Island 4. On Island 4, you can buy infinite Cocos even after you have all the upgrades. And it's fucking infuriating. Because, like, unless you stop to do the math in your head, like, how many upgrades do I have? How many sets of 12 is that? And how many sets of 20 Cocos does that amount to? Unless you do that in your head, you can't fucking tell how many Cocos you need to max out the rings and speed upgrades. So it's like you just kind of buy a bunch of Cocos, go upgrade them, and hope you didn't go over and waste a bunch of fishing coins.
So the egg memos are probably the most what the fuck thing you can get from Big, considering I don't understand the correlation between the two. These should have been cutscenes inside the game.
They should have been collectibles that you could find at Eggman's little spaceship things.
Yeah, I thought I was going to mention, I thought I saw something that looked very different from the rest of the world around.
Yeah, Eggman has these stations like in every island that, just shows that he's here. Well, he's been here. Nothing ever comes out of it.
This kind of feels like another point where the game designers were kind of rushed and they couldn't really figure out a good way to work these into the level design within that time frame. So they just dumped them on Big the Cat. But I love these egg memos though, because like you get an interesting look at Eggman's character here. He's not sassing Orbot and Cubot, and he's not being Eggman at Sonic. He's just talking to himself. This is what Eggman is like when he's at peace and in his own head. And that's neat. We've never seen Eggman quite like that.
It's a nice change of pace that I adore.
Yeah.
It's also some of Mike Pollock's best work as the character too.
We also catch little glimpses of Eggman's character, like he was kind of jealous about Marie, about all the love and grief that Maria's death got from the rest of his family, whoever the hell they are.
They bring that up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, he mentions it.
Also, Black Arms reference.
They mentioned the Black Arms? What?
Yeah, only as a point of reference to say that the civilization on the Starfall Islands is like way older than anything else in the series.
I'm surprised they bothered. Is the thing, like?
I don't think Sega would, but Ian Flynn definitely would.
Yeah, I mean Ian Flynn. He one of the things that he routinely does in the comics is make sure that the continuity is at least respected, if not necessarily adhered to. Like when he took over after the Ken Penders era, he did a hell of a lot of cleanup, but he still treated the events beforehand as if they happened, which was interesting.
I mean, that's certainly more respect than DC or Marvel will do, because they'll just like pretend something didn't happen if it doesn't matter.
We'll just reboot the universe.
Or write it out completely, yeah.
Let's reboot the universe, and oh no, people didn't like that reboot. Let's reboot the universe. Okay. I wish I was kidding, but that's basically what Rebirth was.
Yeah,
Yep.
no, DC is like, oh, did Superman sneeze? Better reboot the universe.
Let's contrive a reason for New 52 Superman to turn into a pillar of ash so that old verse Superman can like take his place again.
Yeah, so meanwhile, Marvel is like, oh man, did Captain America sneeze? Better have him and Tony Stark start fighting.
You know what? They really had to work to make sure that New 52 Superman stayed dead too, because the only in-character reaction that old verse Superman could have had to that was to use the knowledge of that time he came back to life to try and bring new verse Superman back to life, only to find out that in this universe it wouldn't work. So it was ironically a pretty fun little storyline. Where Superman actually tries to go find the technology that brought him back to life and finds out that it doesn't exist there. So yeah, I appreciate that, even though the circumstance that brought it about was like the most cynical thing in the universe. Anyway, what was I saying? Oh yeah, the Elder Coco. It's annoying.
Does the like fast travel load that? Oh, thank you for cutting that out. Does the fast travel work that fast even on console, or is it that just like?
Generally speaking, yeah.
I mean, I'm loading this off a solid state drive, so all the load times are basically non-existent here, and that's nice.
Like I think even on the Switch, it's not that bad.
Yeah, it's a surprisingly not very data intensive game, which you wouldn't expect from an open world game, but since there's only like 3 island themes, there's not a whole lot of graphical assets for them to load. The entire game is like 20-something gigabytes.
Yeah, that's pretty damn, like, even on like PC or whatever.
Yeah.
That's
actually the only reason I can run it off the solid state drive, because my PC is one of those ones that has like a little piddly piss little SDD for the operating system. So, yeah. I can usually
this
fit
is
like
more the
one
kind of
game at a
speed
time.
that I associate with like the Unleashed style stuff.
Going max speed on these islands is like one of the best fucking feelings in this game.
Yeah, this is what happens when you have max rings. You get double boost speed. And you get this Sonic movie electric trail when you're running, which is honestly pretty cool. I don't begrudge them stealing the movie Sonic electric trail, because it's honestly a lot more fun to look at than the old boost.
Okay. So then question, why would you want to increase your max rings if that makes it harder to then get the super boost?
Exactly.
Exactly, which is why a lot of people don't do that unless it's like the only thing they do.
The only reason to increase your max rings is if you're playing on hard mode and don't want to get knocked down to no rings at all every time you get hit. Because the damage enemies do does increase from island to island, but it only really matters on hard mode because normal and easy are so easy.
Good point.